and we're just gonna have a good time. The goal is just to chill and do sort of a, I don't know, behind the effects look at the artists. We're sort of spending some time asking some questions that we've had prepared beforehand, but also anybody in the chat, if you want to be asking questions, we'll do our best to keep up with what's going on there and answer as well. I think some common themes that typically come up is what's it like being an effects artist? What's going on in our heads, which is kind of a scary landscape sometime to explore, but we love going there. And thinking about, I don't know, like getting your first job, getting your next job, progressing in the industry, and all the wonderful insights that you wonderful people have. So, all right. So we'll kick it off. We've got a few people tuned in, I'm seeing over here. I'm still trying to pull it up. Can you guys see? Awesome. We have 4 people watching on YouTube.
Yes.
And many more to come. I'm going to go ahead and mute myself so that I don't see an echo. I'm going to say hello in the chat in my personal account. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
I know some of these people.
Look.
Hey, friends.
I know these people too.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
And then I think we can chat a little bit about, you know, the life of being an effects artist. Also, I was not prepped with any questions, but Rachel and Dan, if you ever want to put me on the spot, challenge accepted. Feel free to fire away back at me as well. We're going to kind of go through a few of the things that we had talked about, and I guess we'll just dive right in. So first off, I guess I'll start with you, Dan. Tell us a bit about yourself. Like, what is your why? What gets Dan up in the morning? What gets you excited for the day every day?
You know, honestly, I'm going to answer this one a little bit more long form. If you had asked me that 2 years ago, I would have told you to chase and accomplish my dreams. But in the last 2 years, I have accomplished my dreams, and I'm still chasing and going. And the why that gets me up in the morning is to show my son that all you got to do is keep putting forth effort, and you can chase your dreams, and you can accomplish them. So just go for it, man. You can do it. So
I love that so much. How old's your son?
He's almost 2. He'll be 2 next week. So.
Aw, that's cute. Yeah. That's great. He's going to look back in years and see this and be like, oh my gosh.
I know, I can't
my dad was so young before I made all his hair go gray.
Yeah, right. It's definitely already starting to.
Oh, no. Yeah, it starts early. So, cool. Rachel, how about you? Tell us a bit about yourself. What's your why?
My why? Why do I get up in the morning? What gets me up in the morning? Coffee gets me up in the morning.
That's a good go-to.
Yeah. So I guess I'll tell you a little bit about myself before I get you the why. But for anyone who doesn't know me, I'm Rachel Quitevis. I'm a VFX artist in Texas. I've been working as a game developer from Texas my whole career, which has partly been like a privilege in the times of return to office. I've gotten to work for some studios, not in Texas, from the comfort of my home office. Yeah, so I've been a VFX artist going on 4 years now, I think, and I've been working in the game industry going on 8 years. And the why that gets me up in the morning and gets me going is just the magical feeling I experienced as a child getting lost in my favorite video game and being part of the people who make that for everyone else. So just getting to be part of the people who make that experience for others, that's my why in the morning.
I love it. What a magical thing to be involved with.
Yeah, absolutely. And to like challenge it and see how far we can push it, and the communities that we build from these feelings and experiences. It's really important.
You mentioned games as you were a kid. What games were you playing as a kid?
As a kid, oh gosh, I played a lot of Pokemon Yellow and Blue on Game Boy Color. Gosh, I was a little delayed on the GameCube era, but that was one of my favorites. I played a lot of Animal Crossing, OG Animal Crossing. I think, gosh, what else? Wind Waker, Legend of Zelda for sure, Ocarina of Time, great stuff. I actually have a Triforce tattoo because I love
Oh,
Legend of
nice.
Zelda so much. Yeah, it's on the back of my hand. I don't know if you can see it because it's a white tattoo, but
Oh, that's cool.
it's there.
So subtle. It's like the suntan lotion tattoos. They like you put
Yes.
on the pattern.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, that was definitely the goal, was to like get something subtle.
Uh huh.
So I definitely like, I still have friends who don't realize I have a tattoo on the back of my hand who have seen me in person more times
Right.
than like they should have noticed it by now. But because it's a sneaky white tattoo,
You used
flies under the
your
radar.
artistic knowledge of the laws of contrast to know that
Yeah.
you got to
Yeah,
look close to see it.
absolutely.
That's cool. Um, Dan, how about you? What's in your repertoire of childhood games, if any?
Man,
Were you a gamer as a kid? I should ask first.
absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
all of these systems that you see, like the 64 was actually my aunt bought that, and I came home from the store with her, and we stayed up all night playing Majora's Mask and beat it. Way took way longer than a whole night, but over time beat it. And the game that started really it all for me was GoldenEye 64. Like, I saw Toy Story as a kid, and I was like, cool. Wait, I can do that. And then it turned into playing more video games growing up. And then one day, one summer, my friends and I never went outside all summer. It was just GoldenEye 64, like 9 hours a day. My mom hated it and tried to yell at us to go outside and everything, but we just kept going. And I was like, this calls to me. This speaks to my soul that
It's
I
that
want to
magic.
make something like this that everybody can just have so much fun and play and just have a really good time and make friends doing. And so I chased it. I went as hard as I could. um, so, but growing up, it was all kinds of Zelda and Mario and stuff because I was, it was a lot of Nintendo, and then we ended up getting a PlayStation, and that kind of changed everything. When the PlayStation One came out, like the whole
Hmm.
world opened up. So a lot of the games Rachel named, the Pokemon games and stuff I played as well. I really got into first person shooters with Halo though, and I've just kind of been chasing that ever since. Bungie makes magic, so that's at least what I've through childhood. That was what always drew me because, like I said, the same thing with GoldenEye. All of our friends, we got around and played this game for hours and hours and hours on end, and just that's what we did. That was our life. Like so, you know, I'm super passionate talking about it. I can't even think of more words to just talk about how awesome it is. So
Amazing. Yeah, it's funny because our family went from Nintendo, then Super Nintendo, then PlayStation, and we'd never had a Nintendo 64 in the house, but I had friends with a Nintendo 64, and they're like, you gotta play GoldenEye. And the
yes,
the D-pad joystick combo just bent my brain because back then I had been playing first-person shooters on the PC, like
oh yeah,
Quake and uh, Unreal Tournament and these others. And so
yeah.
coming over to try to play it on the controller was like, at the time, I was hopeless. I was like, this isn't fun. A mouse is so much better. I just like dug my heels in and I was like, mouse is so much better. And now, of course, I play console games with the twin stick,
So
Yeah.
movement and looking dynamic. But that was the first of its kind, and it was strange to me.
yeah, no, totally. It was the other way around for me. I was like, why would anyone ever want to use a controller after I started playing PC and mouse like UT 2K4, Unreal Tournament
Yep.
2K4? Oh man, I was just like, there's why? So, yeah, I know why you dug your heels in for sure.
Yep. Unreal Tournament 2004 with the onslaught mode. Also, Quake 3, there was a mod for
Quick
Quake
3
3
Arena.
called Weapons Factory that was sort of like a Team Fortress 2 type
Nice.
of mode. It was great. So, anyway, yeah, good nostalgic times.
Yep.
I always tell people my gaming passion is very eclectic. There probably isn't a genre that I haven't enjoyed at some point in my life, but that's probably
I
a
have
lot
a,
of us.
I have a question for both of you.
Hmm.
Was there any time in your life, childhood, teenhood, adulthood, where video games were becoming like not a distracting problem, but like a maybe
A big
over
problem?
prioritized. Yeah, a big problem. No, have games ever become an issue or like an obstacle in your life ever?
I have a story on that. Dan, do you have a story on
I
that?
have a story too.
I want to hear your story. It sounds like you have a story.
I think that the only time it's ever really become an obstacle is when I can't pick one to play, and so I just sit there in the dilemma of I have all these games and just can't make a decision, you know. Um, but no, I don't think there's ever. I mean, let's we're gamers. None of us have self-control over when we actually need to put it down and do the thing, but I've usually always managed to get the thing done. So um, let's hear your
Rachel,
guys' stories.
I want to hear your story.
Okay, I have one really quick one, and then I have one that's a good, interesting story. So, the most recent I can think of where games really were like affecting my life in a negative way was when I played Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild for the first time. It was like ruining my life. How I couldn't sleep. I just would play and play at night after dinner, and all of a sudden it would be 4 in the morning. And I would be like, well, I don't really regret this, but I'm gonna regret it when I wake up in like 4 hours.
Hmm.
My really good story is World of Warcraft is a hell of a drug from chat. That's true.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's about. I was gonna say if we're talking about games that like we
It's
didn't
like that.
sleep over.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
okay.
yeah.
World of Warcraft is absolutely.
It's up there.
So continue.
Yep. I'm
Yeah.
excited to share
So
my WoW story.
when I was, oh gosh, uh, maybe 11 years old, I was getting into this game called Wyvern, and it was like a Java-based game online.
Oh, Dan,
And
I don't know that game.
yeah, it's a very, I would call it a deep cut, but it was like this really low, not, well, I won't get into the details. I love that game. I played it nonstop. And the summer before I started band for the first time, which my family's full of band nerds, so it was kind of like destiny that I would end up becoming a band. I would join band. My
Hmm.
mother wanted me to practice. She's like, you need to practice your horn, but you're playing games all the time. So she made this deal with me where if I practiced, for every 15 minutes that I practiced my horn, she would let me play on the computer for 30 minutes.
Hmm.
So I practiced for like 8 hours so that I could play all weekend nonstop. And I got so good at French horn that for a while my family and I were considering if I would like pursue music as a career. But instead I pursued games. But yeah,
That's amazing.
genius on my mom's part, for sure.
That's great. Well, hey, something good came of it.
Yeah,
You guys want to hear my World of Warcraft story?
absolutely.
Okay, here we go. So, um, how old was I? I think I must have been like 21 years old. Like I was early on in college and um, really struggling to find my focus and had a roommate and I was like deep into World of Warcraft for just a few months. Actually, I think I only played it for like 3 months until it was very obvious it was ruining my life. I was like literally flunking out of an early morning class that I had signed up for because I just couldn't, similar to what you had mentioned, I just couldn't wake up. And so I think I pulled a 30-hour stint. I'm not proud of
Oh my
this,
god.
but like I literally only got up for the bathroom and like microwave food for like 30 hours. And I would do it during a flight path. So like I wouldn't lose any like time in the game.
Right.
Nice.
Um,
Eat, sleep, game.
so I was like flunking out of a class. And that was my wake up call to realize that I had a problem. And the story has a great ending because years later, so actually I took a break from WoW. It's kind of funny. I took a break from WoW and other games too. I swore off games completely because I was in college and I was going to lose my dream of being, in the entertainment industry. And so I uninstalled it. I uninstalled everything. I got rid of every game in the house, not just World of Warcraft. So I didn't have a rebound game option. And um, completely shut myself out from it. And then, ended up eventually rebuilding my work ethic over time. It wasn't immediate. It took me a while to actually really, truly focus over the next few years. But by the time I graduated, I was doing okay. And I didn't have any itch to play games at all. But years later, I'd be like, I always feel like World of Warcraft kind of beat me, and I don't like being beaten. I don't. It was unacceptable. Like I don't like having something out there in the universe that I feel like still has control over me if I were to engage with it. And so I was like, I got to figure out a way to outsmart this thing. And so I built out a plan with a friend that we were going to play World of Warcraft, and we were going to do it mindfully. We were going to do it deliberately. And so we set it up kind of like, poker night or like bowling night, like where it's like you just do it once a week for maybe a few hours, like 3 hours, and that's it. And we had all these constraints about our goals while we were playing. Like we were very deliberate. We wrote it all down. We like worked it out with each other. Like, here's what we're gonna do. And I'll tell you, that's not how WoW is meant to be played. It got really boring. It took it a while, but it got extremely boring because that game is meant to be played more
To be
than once a
ground.
week.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't really get the full experience of WoW. We didn't even level up that far. We played it for 8 months, and I think I got to level 40 across because we kept starting new characters. So we started 8 different characters because we wanted to try all the different races and starting stories and zones and things. And I got a few of them up into the 40s, and that was it. We didn't level boost or anything like that. And I actually got bored, and I was like, I think I'm done with this game. It's kind of boring.
Oh my gosh.
And that was my victory over
Congrats.
World of Warcraft.
Congratulations. We have a really good question in the chat from Sean. Do you guys ever have cognitive dissonance with making games, having struggled with gaming excessively in the past?
Yeah, that's a great question. What do you think, Dan? I have thoughts on that, but what do you think?
Totally. There are, if you like a game and it's a game that you play all the time, when you work on it, you definitely have to step away from playing it. You just can't. You can still get enjoyment out of it, but nowhere near the same kind of enjoyment. It helps to take a break from excessively gaming when you're working in games. Like there are definitely times when I log off for the day and I leave. Like I go out on big long walks out in nature and all that stuff. I try to do the whole grounding thing and try to disconnect before I come back, because I have definitely learned that little bit of unplug gives you so much more enjoyment when you do come back. So
I agree with that. I would say that I approach this kind of the same way that I approach the topic of addictive substances or gambling or anything really, eating unhealthy food. Making the product is not the problem. The problem is within the person, I think, I believe that. And I know that I can get hyper-focus locked into things, but it's my responsibility to take care of my own health. So I don't exactly get cognitive dissonance working on games, having experienced problems with playing games too much, because I know that doing something too much, that's a personal responsibility. That's not the responsibility of the people who made the game or whatever product might be being used too much. But I always advocate for health and balance, for sure.
I don't know. I think so many different things about this, and I'm the kind of person that I tend to try on different things all the time, to be fair. So whatever I say, I might think something totally different next week, to be fair. But thoughts I've been having on this lately would be that it's something akin to being to driving an ice cream truck. It's like you are making a living off of this thing that brings people joy and also can be really unhealthy for them at the same time.
Yeah.
Or being a donut shop owner or a bakery owner, or like it just, I think in life there's moments to have joy and celebrate and to bond and connect, and then there's moments to, you know, be responsible and focus and like, you know, restrict something in your life in order to gain something else through the practice of discipline, you know, or
Balance.
or
Absolutely.
yeah, or through recovery or getting healthy or whatever it might be, depending on the severity of the thing that you're giving up. And so, yeah, like none of us can speak for anyone else's mental health. I do think I know what it's like to have that painful realization that I'm directly contributing to misery in the world, and that is a heavy weight, and it's, I think it's difficult. I think there's a lot of industries that struggle with the same kind of moral challenge. You know, humanity has come to this place where we have a lot of different industries that we don't necessarily quote unquote need. They're more like luxury industries, and they cause issues in a variety of ways. Um, I think everyone needs to answer that for themselves and navigate that for themselves of what's right for them. I will say, as a creative person, the act of creating itself is immensely fulfilling. You know, outside of how it's consumed, outside of how anyone else is interacting with it, um, it brings me an immense amount of joy and satisfaction and things. And so, does that justify the consumption component? Um, I, I mean, obviously, we're going to be biased. We're in this industry, but
Yeah.
um, yeah, artists throughout the ages have always struggled with mental health and like larger societal challenges. So we're definitely not the first to be asking these questions in our generation. I don't think. It's an interesting one.
That was a good question. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks, Sean.
I like this one from P Doggy. What stories do you have about helping someone in the industry? And I'm curious, like, if you had in mind like specifics about helping someone, like through like mentoring and teaching, or through, I don't know, maybe there's a story of like a gamer who like played one of the games you worked on that you heard a story about that was helped. I don't know exactly what context there is, but it's an interesting question.
You probably have a million of them, just judging from all the people I met at GDC when they would run into you, Jason.
Oh yeah, yeah. I might know of a few people who have been helped. I mean, we have our financial aid program on VFX Apprentice where we'll get these extraordinary stories from around the world, and it's been really wonderful. You know, I don't. I mean, people coming from situations I can't imagine, right? Like refugees. We've had a few refugees coming through our content on scholarship. Um, you know, young people coming from farms in Africa without many options. Just other parts of the world that uh, it's like, you know, they're dreaming of doing something impactful and meaningful in their life, and really like helping their family out of the situation that they're in, and making games as a living can give them access to that. So there's been definitely some of those at one end of it, but just also it's fun seeing people, a lot of you out there that are watching, like, you know, we've met up at conferences and stuff, and it's always a pleasure to meet you in person and give you a handshake or a hug if you're comfortable, and just like, you know, that connection is, it recharges me. I love being a part of that. So
I feel that too.
Yeah,
Dan?
absolutely. Yeah. Um, I don't really have any stories of helping people yet, anyway. You never know. But I have had a lot of people come up to me, you know, when they've seen something I worked on and be like, "Yeah, that's really cool. I really enjoyed seeing that." So that's nice. Or, you know, when I presented at GDC, there was people that came up, "Hey, thanks," you know, just sharing thanks for the presentation, and that felt so
mhm.
nice. That felt so good, man. I just wanted to be like, I can tell you so much more. You got time, you know, like
How much
I
time
just
do you have?
I
yeah,
love
let
that
me just
spirit in
fill
you. I
your
really feel
brain.
that from you, Dan. And your talk was amazing. For anyone who hasn't seen Dan's talk yet from GDC, you should go check it out. So
I got to see
Thank
it
you.
today,
Thank you.
live.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
we
got to
gave
give
it.
it again.
Dan gave it to a client today, and I got to watch it again. It was great.
Oh, nice. That's cool.
I have a couple of stories from helping out aspiring devs. One of them is actually pretty recent. We uh, just collaborated with id Studio on Doom: The Dark Ages, which
Mhm.
was an honor. um, there's where I live. There are three game development programs that are like available at universities, and I met someone at a coffee shop who she actually approached me because I was wearing a shirt with a company name on it that she was a fan of, and just her approaching me and asking me for information and asking me like why I had that shirt on and stuff like that. I was like, okay, this person is like, they really want to be a game developer. They want to make games for a living. And they were brave enough to approach someone in public with just from a t-shirt. So I felt like they were worth the time to support.
Mm.
And I extended as much support as I could. I reached out to contacts when she was ready to apply for work when she graduated, and she actually is in the credits of Doom: The Dark Ages because she managed to get her first full-time job or her first game dev gig at id Studio, and
Oh,
I'm really proud of
amazing.
her. Yeah, her name's Elena. I don't know if she's watching, but shout out to her. She's a really hard
Way to go,
worker.
Elena.
Yeah, really
That's
Yeah.
so
proud of
cool.
her. It was an honor to like stick my neck out for her because I knew her work was great, and I'd given her feedback and seen her apply it very thoughtfully, and it was I don't know, I'm proud of her, and I was happy to help. It was very fulfilling.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I,
Another
I,
story is just I was building a new computer after I was already working in the industry. I was building a new computer to like learn at home, and I didn't know what
mhm.
to do with my old computer. So I actually found that someone in my building where I was living was wanting to study game development, so I just gave him my old computer.
Aw,
I was like, it's gonna be such a pain to like pull this apart or sell it, so it's just
that's
easier just to
huge.
give it to you. I don't know what they're doing now, but I hope that helped.
That's huge. Yeah, having a nice computer is a big barrier for entry because it really
Yeah,
can be like,
expensive.
yeah, and necessary, especially if they want to, if you want to work on AAA, people ask a lot like, oh, what kind of computer should I get? It's like, well, whatever kind of computer you need to play the game that you want to work on is roughly about the computer you need to make the game. So for more simplistic games that don't require a lot of processing power, you might be fine with a lower end PC, right? But then if you want to work on AAA games, the game engine is not going to be any nicer to your computer than the actual game itself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So some of those techniques can be taxing, load
hmm
times and frame rate and everything else. So
especially if you want to be a VFX artist
That's what I was about to say
and you're
too.
trying to render fluid simulations and pyro simulations.
yep,
That
yep,
was just sitting waiting for me to say it. If somebody was, I was about to say, especially if you want to get into VFX.
Oh yeah.
Like,
you need all the cores.
Mm-hmm. Every single one.
It's so funny. I was talking with an IT guy. He's like, well, I don't know if you need the 5070. It might be overkill. And I'm like, okay, so I've got like rendering going while I'm sharing screens, while streaming,
While using 2+ monitors.
while I have like four like intensive softwares open. Yeah, with multiple monitors. And he's like, okay, yeah, you might actually benefit from
Yeah.
it's like, because not many people need the full specs of a cutting edge
Yeah.
graphics card or processor, but we do.
Yeah. If you're doing it as a profession, yes, you absolutely do.
or an
As far as you can
absolutely
get.
atrocious amount of RAM too. You always
Mm.
need as much RAM as you can load in.
Oh yeah.
I think it just like for those of you out there who are like crying because you're like, I'll never be able to afford that. I will say like there is a threshold where it's good enough. It
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
means that it might be a little more choppy. It might be a little more load times, but you'll be fine to get started. You know, try to get a PC that has room to be expanded later. You can always get that fancier graphics card later. You don't need everything top of line. It's just what I'm saying is you will notice a difference. You will actually be able to use what these things are offering, but I don't think they're necessarily required.
Yeah,
to get started.
I don't think I've ever had like brand new top of the line hardware on any computer that I've built. I usually
Mhm.
would like wait for a new
Yeah.
graphics card to come out and then I would buy the previous year.
Yep.
And that was plenty. That was good enough.
Yeah,
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 most of the
100%.
time, I definitely stand by that. If you can run the games you're wanting to try to make pretty well, then you could probably make the games pretty well. You shouldn't have too major
Yeah.
of an issue. So
Yeah. Well, cool. So I love the questions coming. Keep the questions coming in the chat. That's great. If we missed any, like, ping it again because I think we're up to date, but maybe not. In the meantime, I'm curious how y'all even stumbled into visual effects as a profession. What's the story there? Because we all have nobody comes here in a straight line. So
No.
what was your squiggly path and journey to get you here?
Dan can go first.
okay. Honestly, I kind of had always been into the tech art side of things, but I feel like I started where I feel like 99% of us start, and I started as a prop modeler and an environment artist, and kind of just that's where I stayed because I wasn't really sure where to go. But like I'd always thought tech art was really cool, and I finally, a few years ago, I finally really just dove headfirst into shader creation and all that stuff. And then, funny enough, I found out about Beyond Effects, and I found out about, you were starting VFX Apprentice, and I actually had access to the original beta, and it just kind of jump started everything. I dove headfirst, and I was like, I love this. Why have I not done this my entire life? And I will never turn around and look back. So it was just pure accident. I don't even I discovered Beyond Effects and then found VFX Apprentice, and I was like, where have you been my whole life?
Match
So
made in heaven.
yeah.
I love it.
So mine, how did I end up in VFX? I was a 3D journalist for the first two gigs that I had in the game industry. And that was challenging because there really isn't like there aren't job roles just for 3D journalists. It was sort of like I was there for any scraps before they hit the floor. And finding dependable employment in that way was very difficult. So I was already surrounded by game devs. So I asked people around me, what do you suggest that I do? And the biggest answer was you need to find a discipline. Being a generalist is it's not going to be easy. So if you want to find dependable employment, then you got to find a discipline. So I asked around and I landed on a few different disciplines. VFX was one of them, but also whatever was in highest demand at the time, essentially. I just went around and asked okay, if I need to find a discipline, which discipline is the hardest one to hire for? What does the industry need? And looking into all of the disciplines that I was researching, VFX was the most attractive one as an artist. I didn't want to learn how to program. So, fortunately, at the time, I was working at Gearbox Software, and I reached out to their lead, and he organized a lunch for me, where I showed up and the entire Gearbox VFX team was there, just so I could ask them questions. And that alone, just that level of support and community, really sold me on looking into VFX very seriously.
I feel like that's VFX.
Yeah.
That's VFX. Anytime I've ever wanted to learn anything, there has always been someone that's there. And then you get 6 other people who give you different answers because they just weren't there at the time. And it's just, it's so awesome and it's so welcoming and
very welcoming.
that's another thing you mentioned. You started as a generalist and you couldn't find the discipline, and you found the discipline. That's what I love about our discipline specifically is we get to gather all of that previous knowledge and experience and still
Yes.
be able to put it to use.
Oh yeah.
Having knowledge of everything else that's going on in the pipeline helps us tremendously. So I like I've said to you before. We're like a little Swiss Army knife.
Oh yeah.
Game devs,
And like it's almost like VFX artists are generalists. So, we need to learn how to model and make shaders and make textures and understand how like overdraw and lighting works with our work, and it takes a lot of very niche knowledge. But back to the lunch that I had with this team, it turned out that one of the artists taught VFX courses at my local college, and I was already enrolled. So I took his courses over the pandemic, like over 2020, and then I think within like 3 months of finishing those courses and making my first VFX reel, I had a job offer to work on God of War Ragnarok. So here I am.
That's awesome.
The rest is history.
That's great. In the chat, they're saying that there's a reverb. I'm curious, who's reverbing? Are we all three reverbing, or is there one person in particular that maybe we can look into? Well, I can hear you, Julian.
Okay, that's fine. I kind of messed up my hair.
Oh, it was Rachel.
It's all right.
Rachel with the headphones. It's okay. It's headphone chic. It's a good look. It's a good look.
These are cool headphones too. They're very comfy.
Yeah. So, thanks for the heads up on the reverb.
Thanks, chat.
Yeah. So I saw another question about, where did it go? Oh, it was a ways up. Hang on. Somebody was asking, oh, where are the places that we go for reference? I love that question. So when you're trying to get inspiration, what do you do? Where do you go?
Rachel's muted now.
Uh-oh, SpaghettiOs.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you now. You're back.
YouTube.
Sure.
Yeah, I know that place.
Honestly, if I'm looking for inspiration, I like watching like breakdowns, like VFX breakdowns and stuff, and just like looking at other work. The guys over at Corridor Digital, I really like, watching the VFX artists react stuff and like just getting a different viewpoint on things. And even though they're in film and we're in games, like they still touch on a lot of great things that kind of help inspire me and bring me back. As far as reference itself, like just all over the internet, I just kind of start Googling a million different things on what I'm looking for or kind of what I'm feeling. But usually it strikes the most when I'm playing a game I really enjoy or watching a movie I enjoy. It's something that just kind of strikes where I'm like, oh, I want to make this thing. And so then I start gathering all of that reference. Like it really has to be something that like calls out to me. Otherwise it's something that's been assigned to me and I'm like, oh, cool. I'll just, go gather whatever I need. So just all over the internet, really.
It's a magical place.
It depends. The reference that I look for kind of depends on what I'm working on.
Yeah.
Especially if it's like stylized versus realistic. I tend to find a lot of, this is probably not ideal, but I find a lot of really good reference in like natural disasters. Like recordings or even just recordings of like some tourist is walking by a waterfall and they took a little video of it and threw it up on their Blue Sky or whatever. But yeah, it really depends. This is funny because this question I believe is coming from someone who's my friend, which means they're probably in my Discord server, and we have a whole channel that's just visual effects references. And it's really not organized. It's just like, oh, I saw this I
That's
don't
a cool
know,
thing.
fluid splatter, and
Yep.
I'm just gonna share it with you guys. And even if that's not something that I get back to and look at for reference, it's great for inspiration.
We were doing a campfire in our backyard, and I was just like, I gotta record this. I posted it on that channel. I was
Yes.
just like,
It,
I have a slow motion feature on my camera. I think a lot of us do now. I think it's pretty standard. It's like my
yeah.
camera has slow motion, everyone.
Oh my god, it's so fancy.
It's so fancy. But no, like I think for me, it needs to. You benefit from having an endless fascination with the natural world
Yep.
because there's always something going on in the mundane around you that you can store away for later. And I think knowing what you want it to look like, knowing how you want it to move, is the hardest part if you don't already have it in your head. If you didn't already store something away before, then when you come to the new thing, I think it can be tricky. And styles have trends. So, like, we have a lot of contemporary games and films and things out there that fall into a sort of family of styles, or different families of styles, let's say. And I think it's fine to be derivative. I think it's, the history of art is all about one generation deriving their style from the previous generation with mild tweaks. I think that's fine. I think nature is the ultimate, like, surpriser. Like, it brings us fresh new things all the time. And so I think if you want to do something fresh, I think going to the source is a good way to sort of invent a way that something might move or be shaped, and feel pride in like making it your own, as opposed to, I made something and it kind of looks like that thing that someone else made. That's good enough, whatever, we'll just move on. But not really knowing what's underneath that or what's driving that from a natural phenomenon.
Sure, yeah, I totally agree with that. It's more like it, you should always try to pull more from the real world reference than anything, even if you are doing something that's stylized or anything, and then you can kind of derive, like you said,
Yeah.
like the fire, somebody could see that fire totally differently than you see it, and it's just you kind of get your reference from everywhere. Like that's the
Yeah.
answer is everywhere. Like so.
Yep. Um, Another person was asking, was Danny, or Oz Danny, sorry if I mispronounced it, what would be a great piece of portfolio for a tech artist or VFX artist that's still in university?
Anything that you make on your own time.
Blow
I
something
think
up.
that,
Yeah.
yeah, I think that as far as for portfolios go, it can be so easy to just throw in all of the work that you do as a student from your courses, which may into your portfolio, which may make your portfolio look like a clone of everyone else you go to school with. So, making anything that you can make on your own time and is inspired by unique ideas, even if it's a small idea. Like, I'm gonna make a splash that turns into glass beads. Even just that would be fantastic. Something that's not derived from the structure you're already going through with however many people are your peers.
I like that. Dan, what are your thoughts?
I totally agree with that. Like, make sure you do a breakdown too. I love seeing
Yes,
breakdowns when people post
100%.
like, yeah, show me how you made that. Don't just show me that you made it. Show me how. And yeah, I don't know. I kind of always like to tell somebody to blow something up. Like, you want to be a VFX artist? Start by blowing something up. See how it looks.
Explosions are like the hardest thing to make.
It really depends on what kind you want to make, though. So
This is true. I feel like
Um,
every answer to every VFX question is, well, it depends.
Yeah, it's just like making VFX. You can go about it 1,000 different ways and get to the same end result. So, whatever. Truthfully, I think my answer is, if you're looking around and you see something that you're like, man, that is just super cool. I wonder how that would look in VFX. Whether you know how to make it or not, start that journey. Try it. Try to make it,
Yeah.
and you'll make something cool. And share your progress throughout. Get as many eyes on it as you can to get help and feedback. Always be ready for feedback, because you may be really in love with something from your piece that other people were like, man, this is just totally different from the rest of it, and it pulls me away from it. And if you're not willing to accept that, you may never actually grow. So always be willing to show yourself and get feedback, because growth is truly the most important part here, and that's why you're putting something on your portfolios, to get the job and keep growing. So
Yeah.
I, whatever makes you just feel that, you do it, make it.
I think you have to assume throughout your career that the work you did a year ago is not as likely to reflect as well on you as the work you did within the past year, right? So like, this is especially true as a student where you're learning fundamental things. So you're probably doing practice work and trying things out for the first time. And you're doing a tutorial and you're maybe doing slight modifications on the tutorial, but really mostly following along and just learning how to get the thing done. Don't include those in your portfolio. I think student work shows as student work. Your goal should be to create the work that's at the same level as the studio you're applying to. And you may not always hit it 100%, but it's better to have that goal versus here's a piece that I did that shows that I can follow a tutorial, or it shows that I can use the tool at a basic level. I think what you all said was perfect. Like, make it your own, but I think it is still important to do the student level work first, so you know what you're doing in the tool first, then move on to making it your own. I think sometimes we try to skip ahead as students and we take on a project that's way bigger than we can chew, and we get in over our head, and it ends up eating a lot of time, and it doesn't look good in the end because we didn't know what we were doing, right? And so definitely take the time to be academic early, but then I would say, I mean, when it's time to do the portfolio, just the comment was made in the chat, and I think this is spot on. Just show your best work in your portfolio. And that best work should be from your own creativity, and it should combine the knowledge that you have from the different things you did. And if you need a little more time, then take a little more time. Like, do that extra project. You're going to be doing it 40 to 80 hours a week anyway. I mean, you may as well start now. So it's going to take a lot of time investment as a student to kind of showcase that you can make the cut. I think.
Something else I also like to recommend is, like, you have your portfolio, but you can also have a blog. Like, you can just have small updates, something where you haven't made major progress, you don't want to have a portfolio update, but it's like something you're working on. You can just have like a sketchbook or a blog. There are different forum websites where you can literally just have like your whatever artist's sketchbook and just kind of post on little things you've done, whether they actually get fleshed out or not. That will still help you get feedback from people and knowledge share from people that can help you either finish this, learn more from it, understand what's wrong with it, anything, or if you just want to kind of show off. I know personally, when I was able to like share things and just people were like, this is cool, even though I didn't think it was cool, that was enough for me to be like, yeah, you know what, I want to keep working on this and I want to learn more from this. Because I try to always make sure that I want to learn something from everything I'm doing. Like, that's something I try to always try to push myself for, portfolio wise.
Yeah.
So
I
but
think
like you said, oh, go ahead, sorry.
Oh, no, you go ahead and finish. You're good.
I was just going to say, like you said, foundation is most important above all else, though. Foundation is key. If you don't have a good foundation, the house will fall down. So,
Yeah. You'll know that you've gotten there when it begins to flow out of you and your work is just easier. Like making good looking stuff is easier to do. I think that's a good rule of thumb as a student, to know that maybe it belongs in a portfolio if it sort of was more straightforward to create and you got compliments on it with less effort than the other things that you worked really hard on. Like, we can be biased and think, oh, because I worked so hard on this, it must be good, right? Well, probably not, especially early on, especially when you're a young student.
yeah.
The stuff you work the hardest on might still look like student work. It might still struggle to hit that mark. But then it's kind of ironic. Like, I remember when I had spent all this time in drawing classes in college. I took like 9 figure drawing classes.
Dang.
I spent like 7 years in college though. So I
I
took
spent
7
like
years to
10
get a
years in
4-year
college.
degree. Yeah. Yeah. Don't feel bad if you're taking forever in college. A lot of
Yeah,
us took
I
a
didn't
while.
even get my degree. Spent 10 years, didn't even get a
Oh
degree.
my gosh. Wow.
Sorry.
So
'cause
glad I'm
I've
not
shipped
alone
games.
in that boat. Thank you, Rachel. You made me feel so much better
Yeah.
just now. So
Yeah.
we're all through that.
I
struggle
don't
is
have a
real.
degree, but I've shipped video games, so. Whatever.
There you go. I mean, hey, everyone has their own goals, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, my point is like I spent all that time drawing and I had just mountains of bad drawings, right? So many that I worked so hard on and they just looked stiff and bad. But then like my favorite figure drawings that I have, like I was in the flow state. It was fun. It was easy. It was enjoyable.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that only came after countless hours of struggle. And I think
yeah.
a portfolio is that way, where it's like when it's ready to be a portfolio piece, it's like it's flowing, it's fun, it's easy, it's enjoyable. And you're still working hard at it, don't get me wrong. It's just that there's a different energy that goes into it creatively that it clicks. And it's like, and people will see that. They'll see, oh, this person has it. They have the stuff. They're good at
Good
this.
stuff. Yep.
Yeah.
I want to add to this in that I've definitely worked on stuff that I hate that
Yeah.
ended up like I feel like I broke like a piece of my soul off to finish, but then it ended up being something I was really proud of. And then there's stuff that I've done that and it was work that I couldn't show, but that doesn't mean that all your work's only value is in showing it to other people. I learned so much from the work that nobody has seen.
Yeah.
And that is just as necessary as the work that people do see. So there's no, well, maybe you're like, maybe I don't get in my flow state, or everything I work on feels like I'm throwing my whole body at. The value is not just in showing it. You are learning every time you're doing. So just keep doing.
Yep.
You'll get to the flow state.
What I've always kind of heard in the art world in general is the statement is about drawings, but in general, there's always 1,000 to 1. It takes you 1,000 bad drawings to get one good drawing.
Yeah.
Like, and those
Yes.
1,000 you're learning the whole time, and then you get the one, then you hit your flow state. Now, in general, you may get 5 or 6 out of those 1,000, but like that's when you really get into, like Jason was talking about, your kind of your flow state. You're like, all right, I'm just going to do this, this, and this. I'm going to keep it pretty simple, and just throw something out there and see how it looks. And somehow or another, it ends up being like so much better because you just kind of felt confident in yourself and you had fun with it. So
That's also why I recommend doing personal work, building personal work in your portfolio, because it's stuff you want to do. So you're kind of already starting closer to flow state than you would if it was something that someone assigned to you.
right.
100%. Totally agree with that. And yeah, and I want to say like, I think what I was really referring to mostly is like when you're a student. I think when you're first starting out, right, you're not going to have a lot of portfolio pieces in the things that had a long winding road, but you get a lot out of it. Like you're saying, you get a lot out of it, but it may not be for showing others. I think as professionals, we also get into the frustrating, long, arduous projects, like you mentioned, that they just take it out of you.
Yeah.
I think some
Yeah.
of those can still look amazing because they're made in a sort of different context where you've got the skills and you know the principles, you know the tools, you know what you're doing. It's just it happens to be a demanding thing, but you just don't want to look at it when you're done with it right away. You just need a break, right? But it still might be a great portfolio piece. Just save it for later when you don't hate it as much. Time heals the wound.
Oh yeah.
Back to breaks are a nice thing. Unplug for a little while.
Oh yeah.
Yep. Yep. Cool. So people are asking like an art study, if you have no idea how a certain effect is made, like good exercise might be to like reverse engineer it. Have y'all ever tried to do that? Like taking an effect that you're like, dang, that looks good. I want to figure out how you did it.
Yes.
And you
Yep.
reassemble it.
Yeah, I actually streamed it. Hopefully it's not still on the internet. Because it was not a success. But I took an effect that I saw from Returnal. They have these really cool, like, it's just a shader on like a flat plane, but they put it over areas that like you can't access yet. And I tried to recreate that basically, and it was really fun, and I learned my limits. I think that's probably one of the most important things you learn in those exercises is what you can't do. But yeah, I've done that. We do that with VFX studies at Beyond Effects, actually. One of our artists, Kelsey, holds VFX studies where, for example, we'll watch like a clip from Arcane or clips from Arcane and do sketches based on the study of those clips.
It's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I learned so much from frame by framing old classic Disney films. So
Mhm.
Yeah.
Hercules, especially big inspirations, and the way Hades flares up when he's just chef's kiss.
Yeah.
So good. Yeah.
So good.
The fluids in Fern Gully
Fern
are amazing.
Mhm.
The sludge
Yes.
and fluid. I feel like I've met someone who said their uncle did those, but it was on LinkedIn maybe. But those fluids are awesome.
Very cool.
Yeah.
That's rad.
One of my teachers in school worked on the Iron Giant and Mulan, and I think Tarzan, or someone came in and spoke that worked on Tarzan. So we had a lot of really cool breakdown stuff. For like it was a 2D animation course. So we had top tier teaching from Disney and stuff. It was mind blowing. You don't realize how pretty it is, but you don't realize how much they put into it. It's just like you said, the flow. They have a flow, and it's great. So.
Apparently we are having some audio issues right now.
Okay, what kinds of issues? Audio is still echoing. Oh no. And I'm the one who's echoing, I think. Becca's on it.
Becca is on it.
Sorry, everybody. I know
It's okay.
echoing audio can be a pain.
Thanks for the feedback.
Yeah, but not the audio
Oh.
feedback. But
It looks like there is an option for echo cancellation. If you started the meeting and selected that I am not wearing headphones, you can turn on echo cancellation.
I am not recording audio. This can't be changed while recording.
Oh.
Nate.
Oh. But I am wearing headphones.
I'm also wearing headphones.
Did you select that option when you joined into the meeting?
No. Sorry, chat.
It's gonna be in the top right under the gear.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I can't turn it on.
Oh.
Yeah. Can't modify this during recording. So.
Sorry, it's my fault.
Bummer.
I don't know why it would cause an issue.
It's all of you.
Yeah, it's not just me. Okay.
Dan's audio is echoing. Is Rachel's audio echoing?
It sounds much better.
Yeah.
Too many audio emitters. We're just too awesome.
Closes
We could just pantomime the rest of it. And just
Yeah,
be
you guys know ASL. I don't, I'm just wondering.
This is what a day of game dev looks like. Oh,
It
it's so
does.
true.
It does.
Can
Someone
I
has their stream open? Maybe?
I closed everything.
Yeah, I don't have anything.
It's just us.
I could close my stream. I mean, I muted the streams, but I'll close them. I'll do it.
Don't stop. Him. I'm used to saying me when I say that, so I had to stop.
Let's see.
Maybe we all just type with echo.
Echoing in chat too.
Okay, we've all closed our streams. Maybe that'll make a difference. What were we talking about? I don't remember what we were talking about.
I did see a good question. What
Yeah.
are some, Sean with the good questions. What are some of the best examples you've seen for the potential of VFX as a medium for storytelling? Expedition 33 really opened my eyes to it recently. Storytelling. VFX as a storytelling medium.
I've
That's a
seen
good question.
lots of times where like VFX has been used to supplement the story, you know, which kind of in a lot of the effects we make, especially if they're like, you know, deliberate effects and not like a gameplay effect that happens over and over, like that kind of always has a storytelling element to it.
I feel like my answers personally are more relevant to cinema. But as far as games, I guess there is one from my recent memory. There's this indie game called Somerville by a studio called Jump Ship, and essentially they have this, I don't know how to describe it. You'd have to play the game. It's only like a 3-hour game, but there's these beautiful encounters where you need to use a lantern to sort of like melt away this distortion that's taking over the environment. And by the end of the game, you're doing this, like you'll do it in the beginning in like little sections, like, oh, you'll come across a little alley and you need to melt away the distortion. But then at the end of the game, it's like you're in a huge cavern and the walls are made of this stuff. And it's so immersive in a literal sense that if the game were without this tech art VFX, it would not have the same impact. So Somerville also has amazing audio design. So if you're going to play that game, wear some headphones, have a great time.
Any examples that come to your mind, Dan?
You know, I'm trying to think of but like that's probably the most prominent example of how that would work, like changing the entire environment through a shader and stuff. Like, I can't beat her example.
Yeah, I would say my like cinematic example. The first one that comes to mind is Coco. Like even just like the orange gold leaves and like flower petals from when oh my gosh, I forgot the main character's name. I feel so sad right now. But anytime those flower petals are around, it was kind of like a transition between the world of the living and the world of the dead. And that was like the theme married the transition, I guess.
I think one of the most underrated effects focused films is The Rise of the Guardians.
Oh, that's such a good movie. That's such a niche cut. Oh man.
With like, it has like Santa Claus and Jack Frost and the Easter
Yeah.
Bunny and
The effects from Jack Frost are so good. I'm sorry, continue.
well, no, what I was going to say is DreamWorks. I was talking with people who had worked on that, the effects team, and they're like, yeah, like never before had DreamWorks spent so much money on the effects budget for a film. The particle systems in that film are just insane. And then never since have they, because the film was a financial, it didn't do as well in the box office as some of their other films. But I mean, the effects are just gorgeous because it's got like the Sandman effects and all the swirling around, and the Jack Frost effects, and then the Shadow Dude, the Nightmare Dude.
Yes.
And all of it is swirling and changing into like physical objects, but they're still like effectsy. And you know, that's a great one to reference. I think if we want to be aspirational in sort of doing this stylized PBR, like more real than real kinds of styles of effects and things, I think looking at DreamWorks, because it's not just that, also, you know, Puss in Boots Last Wish, I think, has just groundbreaking artistry in their effects. The Kung Fu Panda 3, I think it was, where they had the cannonballs exploding, the firework cannonball things. Those explosions were like this hybrid, stylistic but realistic mix happening in there with all the shapes they were doing. So I think DreamWorks really goes to the next level. They go hard in the way that they blend, high resolution with stylization. It's really really cool.
I thought of a great example.
I did
It's
too.
it's film as well, but in Into the Spider-Verse, when I think that's the
Mm.
first one,
Oh
right?
yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
when Miles is first becoming Spider-Man, like his frame rate is choppy, and the more he becomes Spider-Man and gets used to it, the more fluid his frame rate and animation is. Like so
Hmm.
throughout him, like you can kind of visually feel him learning more how to become Spider-Man and flow and all that good stuff, and that was really really cool. I actually learned that fact before I watched the film, so getting to watch that and like pay attention to that was super cool. So
Yeah.
that's a prominent example in my mind for sure.
I have an awesome video game example. South of Midnight.
Yes. Okay, there you
Yep.
go.
The whole thing is about, in general, I have not finished the game, but the theme around it is sort of like family trauma, and they write it in such a way that they're using metaphors like the grand tapestry, and anything that is a tool for the main character is is almost like an enchanted sewing tool, and then they use her powers, which look like strands of like doilies and lace, really beautiful like ribbons, uh, to push the story ahead in with this like positive, beautiful imagery. And then they use the opposite, like inky black, knotted creatures or themes of knots and darkness and inkiness as
Hmm.
like the antithesis of the main character's powers.
Hmm.
That is a beautiful, beautiful game, and definitely the VFX is like its entirely own character throughout the whole experience.
Love it. Love it. Great question. Um, all right. So somebody's asking that we were talking about getting comfortable with making our own effects. Do we have to get there to get a job as an effects artist? I'm in between jobs right now from a non-game position, and I was wondering if I should practice more but still try applying, or if I should get another job that's not VFX and practice more VFX until I feel like I have a solid portfolio.
It's a good question.
I say put yourself out there. Just give it a shot. The only thing you're going to do is get told no and potentially maybe a reason why they tell you no or anything. If you can ask them for some feedback, then just put yourself out there in general. Try to put something on your portfolio when you have time. I know it's really really hard to do both things, but overall, your goal is to get into the industry. So why not just go ahead and start trying to reach out to people and figure something out? Maybe you can get a path forward. Maybe you'll even reach out to a studio where they're like, actually, we can take you on as a junior. We can go ahead and get this ball rolling. And then maybe not. You may just get plenty of no's, but either way, you're still going to be reaching yourself out there and getting your name out there and continuing to push your drive into the game industry as a VFX artist.
I'm
So,
going to put you both on the spot. Are y'all okay with people reaching out to you?
yes.
Yeah.
So there you go. You've got 3 people. I'm okay with it too. All 3 of us, you're free to reach out and see. Because my first thought is, let me see what you got. Show me your
Yep.
portfolio. I want to see it. I always love seeing portfolios. And a lot of other people are the same way, where even if it's not ready now, they want to see where you're at now. And then you can check in later when you've progressed. It doesn't hurt to check in multiple times over, like, if you have meaningful updates to show, like, I have actually swapped out most everything in my portfolio a year later or wherever. I think it's healthy. Rachel, what would you say to this person?
I would say, yeah, keep practicing. Uh, and something that I tell people who either aren't in the industry yet, or they've been in the industry and had to leave because the industry is very volatile, So just because you're not working in games now doesn't mean you can't return to games. So yeah, keep practicing. Especially if you are enjoying it. I mean, that's probably the first question I should ask in response is like, are you wanting how badly are you wanting to work in games as a VFX artist? Are you enjoying VFX? And if you are, then yeah, keep practicing. Why not?
That's my thought. Like, having your dream job, think about why would it be a dream? And then is there anything that you can live about that dream now? So, like, a lot of what we think a dream job is going to have is actually available to us already. You can already do the kinds of things you would do at that job. You can already associate with the kind of people that you want to associate with. You know, like, there's a community out there that's very welcoming that you can connect with. And, like, plug yourself into it, immerse yourself into it. I think sometimes we're scared because as artists, we conflate the value of our art with our own personal value. And I think that's easy to do because you put a lot of yourself into the work. So if your work isn't getting you a job, or you lost your job or whatever, you might be tempted to think, well, this is me that is not worthy. That's not worth it. And that's not true at all. I know you might hear that and you're like, yeah, but it still feels like that. But just know that you're not alone, and that we as creative people, we all struggle with that because we do put our heart on the line whenever we create something. And so it can create a sort of fear that you never want to create something. And I think at least being aware of that, knowing that this is a fear-based decision and not like a logic-based decision, can maybe help a little bit in navigating that and saying, okay, well, maybe I don't want to make a fear-based decision right now. What is the open or hopeful or optimistic version of this that I can say, like, I'm still going to create, I'm still going to make something, I'm still going to try to put myself out there, even though it's risky, because my work might get rejected, and that might feel like I'm getting rejected. But there's a really great book. It's called Art and Fear that I think dives into this a little bit better than I'm trying to elaborate on. But I'm glad that I read that early on in my career because it's relevant. I think it was written by either musicians or authors, but it applies to all kinds of creative pursuits. Art and Fear.
Now I'm looking it up.
Book. Yeah, it's a good one.
It's never personal, and it will always, for me, even knowing it's never personal, it will always be a struggle to take that step back. And like you said, it's a fear-based decision. Try your best to even just put some sort of logic to it. Just put some logic in it. You will kind of find yourself flowing easier to get through it because you kind of stand out and look at it like it wasn't anything I did. It was just either it's not what they're looking for, or it was a higher up decision that was made, and I'm just a number, and it's not anything personal at all. And that's a big struggle, and like Rachel mentioned, the industry's volatile, and so like there are times where you just start, it's just going to happen, and the best thing that I found is to just do your best to understand it's not personal and try to either take a break if you're feeling overwhelmed and get back to it, or if you don't feel overwhelmed and you feel like you're ready to get back to it, just dig right back in, like, because you're going to find your niche, you're going to find your spot, you're going to find where you belong, as long as you keep putting the passion into it. So,
good answer, Dan. This is probably a good time to. I want to ask and also answer this question that we got before we started the Fireside, but
yeah, go for it.
It's like, what has been a challenging moment for you in your game dev career, and how did you get through it? Jason can go first.
Yeah, this is it gets real. I was supposed to ask you this question. I wasn't supposed to answer this.
So
why
you kind of just gave the answer to it anyway.
No, that's why I wanted to ask. I think it's something. I think our answers are important for others to hear, especially people trying to break into the industry, because it's reality that it's not all sunshine and rainbows and video games out here.
I'm going to get, I guess this is a question that's supposed to get personal, so I'm just going to get personal. I would say the period of time since leaving Riot Games 5 years ago until now, and I'm still in it, has been tremendously hard in ways that I did not anticipate. I mean, it's had its up times too, but it's been running a company as an entrepreneur is a different kind of challenge that oftentimes I've wondered if I was built for it. I don't know. I have a lot of doubts. Anyone out there who's ever owned a company or ever like been in charge of a team or like been in leadership, you know that it's never quite what you think it's going to be. I think the closest thing to it is like having a kid, where it's like you see people with kids, you know that it's hard, you know that it's rewarding, you know that they get a lot out of it. But then you have one, or you have a company, or you have whatever, and you're like,
Yep. This be hard.
demonetized. And we're gonna get demonetized. All you can do is laugh because it's so heavy. And I think,
Yes.
I think it can be rough. You know, I don't know. I think that I'm the kind of person that I run into the burning house. I just always have been that way personally.
I am too.
And I think it's what makes me good at things
That's
because
why we're here.
because I never start good at anything. Like my story about being addicted to WoW, I was useless as an artist. Everyone said I was a good artist in like high school or whatever, but then I got to college and I realized that I was garbage. Like compared to everyone around me, like I was at the bottom of the barrel, and I had to wait an additional year and work my tail off to get good enough to even get in at all to the program. And it took me 7 years. I mean, 10 years to graduate. Like, and you didn't even graduate. Like,
Yeah.
this is, I think, more common than we think it is, and I don't think we share our stories enough. I just want anyone who knows me from YouTube. Of course, I appreciate your support, but it's like sometimes it can be lonely on the other side of that camera. If I'm being frank, there's a YouTuber, Healthy Gamer GG, Dr. K. He speaks on mental health for these kinds of things. And one of my favorite series that he did was where he interviewed these famous streamers. I think he might still be doing it. I don't know, but he interviewed a bunch of different streamers. Their mental health is terrible. Like they're having a rough time. These people like running their own thing, doing their own thing that everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, I admire you. I look up to you." Like it's like
The house is on fire.
I'm dying. It's like
Outside of this frame, the house is on fire.
yeah.
Everything is fine.
So that's definitely been the biggest challenge. I think my challenges have gotten. I had other hard challenges before, but they've gotten progressively harder. I think I've gotten stronger. I've gotten more able to handle it, which is great. But it's giving me pause to step back and say, okay, bro, what's really going on here? And I'm trying to look deeper than I've looked before to figure out, because the common denominator is this one, and I'm trying to figure out why is it that I bring my issues into every new thing. Like accomplishing the next thing doesn't fix the issues; they come with me, but
Yes.
they just expand. And so
Amen. Hallelujah.
it makes everything harder. But at the same time, I got to be kind of kind to myself because, like, all of us, we do the best with what we have. And
Yep.
whatever you're doing, wherever you're at, you're doing great. I think, I don't know, like, it's hard for one person to relate to another because none of us are in the same boat, really, but we can listen. So I'm curious to listen to yours. I've kind of been like rambling on. Um,
And we're all proud of you. And I don't
Yeah.
mean that just to be saying that. Genuinely.
Yeah, we are proud of you, Jason.
Thanks,
Life's hard,
guys.
man. Life's
It
hard.
is.
I
You've
appreciate that.
accomplished something pretty awesome with VFX Apprentice, and I don't doubt that it's difficult, which is why I've not done it.
I always tell people you are more than welcome to launch a VFX school. Please do. I would love to have someone who gets it with me.
Right?
It's like,
For
if
real.
you want to do it, I'll cheer you on. Go for it. Yeah.
Dan,
Um,
what's been challenging for you, and how'd you get through it?
my answer was kind of, I kind of already gave my answer, but I'll definitely like give more context to it. My first layoff, like, was really hard. And I know everybody's layoff, I feel like everybody's layoff is unique. There's thousands of us, and it's still every single person's is unique because, like, there's always something specific going on at work that you're either looking forward to or you're dreading, or something that's very specific is happening to you, and it's like, obviously it's never a good time to be laid off, but it's almost like it's always the absolute worst possible time because it kind of always makes you feel like you did something. And it was really hard for me to not want to reach out to 1,000 different people and be like, did I do something? Is this my fault? And it was really nice having a lot of support, because a lot of other people got laid off with me, and kind of we all banded together, and that was really super nice. And I think that was truly what got me through, was having the support and having the people help me understand that, like I was saying, it's not personal. It's absolutely not personal. Especially when you see that, like, 40% of the rest of the company came with you. It's definitely not personal, and so the thing for me was to learn how to just get back on the climb, get right back to it, because, like, it almost felt like, okay, I've done this, I tried really, really hard, I made it, and I still didn't actually make it, so what do? And, and it was really hard to push myself through to get there. And one of the things that helped, like I've also said a couple times, is taking some time. I took like a week and a half, 2 weeks of just hanging out with my son. He was like 6, 7 months old at the time. So, and it was, instead of being in full panic mode, it was, I need to take a second, let me reset, let me gather myself together, and then I'm coming back twice as hard, and I'm not going to stop. And that was really what did it for me, was having the support to make sure it wasn't my fault, and then having the ability to take just some time away to catch my breath. And then, like I said, I came back as hard as I could, and here I am, and I ain't slowing down yet. So,
I think it's worth noting here, if you look back at the course of human history and even prehistory, the concept of getting fired is not really something we're built to handle.
Yeah.
Right.
It's actually like the equivalent would be like, okay, you can't be in this tribe anymore, and now you're gonna have to find a different tribe that'll accept you, and that's not likely. Like that is like really scary. Like that evokes a
Yes.
lot of primal
Fear.
things, yeah, like core fear in us. Like we're not evolved to be expelled from our group, and it's maybe one of the most basic things that we're all afraid of. And so I think giving yourself some kindness, like you mentioned, and reconnecting with people that are still in your life, reminding yourself that you have community available to you. If you struggle to find a community, get a community. Just understand what's happening up here at least the primal level, and be like, oh, my brain is telling me that I'm gonna die because I don't have food and shelter with the tribe anymore. That's not actually true. I'm not gonna die, and I can go find people to rebuild my mental
Yes.
health. I think having people in our lives, it's the number one benefit we can do is finding meaningful connection with people that care about us.
Yeah.
Yep.
I
Completely
agree.
agree. Yep.
That's good that you had that group leaving with you to connect with.
Yeah,
I'm sure that must have helped a lot.
I will never be able to express how much that meant to me. Like I saw a LinkedIn message pop up of, "Hey, we're all right here. Come join us." And I cried like a baby. Like I'm getting a little, like it was.
Sure.
It means a lot.
It really did. So let's not do this on the
Yeah.
live stream. It was really, really nice. Um,
We're going deep.
yeah.
Getting real.
So
I deliberately avoided going into too much detail about my story because I definitely would have broken down on camera.
Yeah.
So
I feel like we've all got that story for sure.
yeah.
But if any of you are out there watching, I know there is at least two of them that are with us at Beyond Effects know, and so thank you guys, and anybody else, thank you.
All right, Rachel, your turn.
The most challenging moment in my game dev career definitely was one of the layoffs that I experienced, because I've gone through two, so I'm like a real game developer now. I think at that point, my first layoff, I was really asking myself some real questions, like, is this really it? Like, is this what I want to do, and is this how hard it's going to be? And those questions were really scary because I don't want to do anything else. But I think the biggest one that I really had to stare in the face was, is being a game developer worth the sacrifices required to remain a game developer? And eventually I reached the answer yes, because I just don't want anything as much as I want to be a game developer. But the way that I got through it was community, for big time community. Can't underscore that more. But community from Discord, from LinkedIn, from other game developers, mostly from other game developers, and from my partner, Michael. I mean, when I decided to become a VFX artist, it was after I was unable to find gainful employment, and I wouldn't have been able to pursue a re-education in VFX if my partner hadn't held the roof over our head while I just sat and learned for 8 to 12 hours a day for a year. So I owe my partner a lot. Shout out to Michael. But also, playing games really is what helped.
Yeah.
Is something else that helped a lot. It's reminding myself why I want this so bad. The things that games make us feel when we are lost and need escape or validation or a really cheap dopamine hit that is not horrible for you. But yeah, revisiting video games and leaning on my communities and the people that I care about. And then last but not least, addressing my mental health. That has got to be the number one thing I recommend for anyone who is going through any challenge, regardless of if it's in the game industry or whatever industry or in your personal life. Address your mental health, because that's your foundation.
Yep. 100% agree. Before anything else.
Yes.
I had a chance to sit down with Brandon Beck, the founder of Riot Games, co-founder of Riot Games, before I left, because I knew I was going to go start this company, and I knew he had started a company, little indie studio that you may have heard of, and he always had an open door policy for Riot employees that were there. He's like, yeah, if you ever want to set up a counter event, come on by. I don't know if he still has that, but he had it then. So I scheduled some time and sat down, and I was like, okay, I'm going to go start this company. What's your advice to me? And he's like, you'll face a lot of different barriers. You'll run into a lot of different things that'll be challenging. But the thing that matters more than anything else is managing your mind.
Yep.
You know,
Big time.
And he said, and get a partner. I would be nothing without Mark. I would never be here today without Mark. We rely on each other constantly. We always have. And I was like, crap, I didn't get a partner. And I tried. If anyone out there wants to be my partner, hit me up. I tried to find a partner, but it wasn't working out. It wasn't clicking. It didn't make sense. I couldn't find somebody that I simultaneously fully trusted and wanted on that journey with me, and they were able and willing to go with me and do it. I have a lot of great friends from Riot and other places that I've worked, but finding that perfect combo of somebody to go with you on the journey is like, I don't know, it's a challenge. So we'll see. Maybe my Prince or Princess Charming is out there somewhere.
Your VFX prince or princess.
Yeah, they'll be out there. I'll someday maybe get a partner, but I've done my best. You know, Keith, founder of Beyond Effects, is a great friend. I've got other great friends, fellow entrepreneurs, but they're on their own journey and running their own companies, and so we can relate with each other, but it's a little different. Like, we're not in the same foxhole together, we're not pinned down by the same enemy bullets. They're just over somewhere else on the battlefield. But yeah, so I don't know where I was going with that. Oh yeah, managing the mind. Yes. And it's easier to do in the company of someone else. I think humans are social creatures. Even if you're an introvert, we all need people close to us. And so I think that's really important to seek out. I've definitely had to be very proactive. I've reached out to all kinds of people, and not all of them have panned out as long-term friends, but others really have, and it's been very valuable. People like Keith and others that I connect with. So
community is critical.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And that even leans back to something previously. Get as many eyes on your work as you possibly can, as often as you can.
Yeah, so. I think I probably had 4 different senior or lead VFX artists look at my first reel before I redid it and then put it out there.
Very nice.
We have a really awesome question that I know we have super awesome answers for from Alex. What would you guys recommend for someone that's learning the basics to do to get deeper into VFX and take their work to a studio level? Any courses, colleges, resources worth looking into?
Take it away, Jason.
Alex is not a paid poster.
No.
Our beginner boot camp is opening up soon. I don't know. We run it a few times a year. It's designed for exactly that group that's trying to just find their first step. Where do I begin? We go from absolute zero, no knowledge, to well on your way towards making effects in 8 weeks. On average, I think we run it 2 or 3 times a year. So keep an eye out for that. If you're on our mailing list at VFX Apprentice, you'll get notified when that boot camp's coming up for enrollment. We take 15 people at a time, so it's limited seats, and it's a good time. So that's the easiest one. Otherwise, we have our free training as well. You can go on there, and it's kind of a selection of things in the subscription that you can just try out, see, tinker around in there. If you want a more meaty experience, the paid experience includes the Discord community, where you get feedback, and I think over 200 hours now we have of content. So it's great. It's organized. It's clear. You can also hit up YouTube. I mean, there's a lot of great tutorials on YouTube. The downside there is you got to navigate the order of is this for a beginner? Is this intermediate? But some other creators have made some good stuff on there too. I don't want to downplay that. Also, realtimevfx.com I think is a solid resource.
Yes.
They have a where to start post on there that you can check out.
They have a Discord community as well.
Yes. And the Discord community for that is also really good.
I always send people straight to Jason. So
Beyond Effects also has learning resources for free on our YouTube channel.
That's right.
Yeah.
There's some great tutorials over there.
Mm-hmm.
Good
Alex.
stuff indeed.
Thanks for giving us the opportunity to plug ourselves.
Yeah. And just I know Jason said this earlier, but if you want to reach out, I'm pretty sure Rachel said yes. If you want to reach out to us, and just ask general questions or anything, we will absolutely do our best to point you in the right direction, help you learn from our own knowledge, something. You'll get a response, and it will point you somewhere to help with your question. I promise you that. So feel free to reach out.
It might seem strange that we're broadly opening this up. I mean, you know, there are obviously like tens of thousands of people in the VFX community around the world. Like, how could we possibly open this up? I mean, on a typical week or month, like my LinkedIn messages are not too crazy. I mean, it might take me a while to get back to you sometimes, depending on when you catch me, but I do eventually get to everybody, and it's not like I don't begrudgingly do it. Like I'm actually excited and interested to meet new people and hear new stories
Absolutely.
and help. And I'm sure you guys feel the same way. Like it's surprisingly quiet, actually, sometimes in a lot of these channels. You know, where email is especially quiet.
You're intimidating, Jason.
I know. It's ever since I grew the beard. Got that beard energy. No, it's good. My inbox is open. Hit me up. All right. So how long have we got more time? How are you guys feeling?
Feeling great.
Yeah.
Hydrated.
That's right. I need some water. I need to get headaches.
I definitely get screen fatigue if I'm not wearing my blue light blocking spectacles.
I went ahead and paid for the little bit extra for the blue light filter for these.
It makes a huge difference.
Absolutely worth it. Yep.
Whoa.
My eyes
The
just
monitor is like so reflective in these.
Yeah. I only took my glasses off because I didn't want to get distracted. Distract myself with the reflection in the lenses.
These actually don't prevent headaches for me. Maybe my problem is I put it on after I get the headache.
Yeah.
And then
It's like preventative.
the headache doesn't go away.
It's like drinking caffeine when you're already like about to black out. You're already too far out.
Too late.
Oh man. I used to wear glasses. I got eye surgery while I was working at Riot, actually. I wouldn't be able to see anything beyond this and focus. Like,
Oh, wow.
I really
That's about how I am. Yeah.
Yep. And so I got the eye surgery, and I love it. I have drier eyes now, though. I wasn't
I've heard that.
ready for the dry eyes because I always wore contact lenses, and so. Anyway.
Well, we have like 5 minutes? 5 minutes left?
20 minutes?
20 minutes? Can I count?
5 or 20
I don't know
minutes.
what time it is.
It's 4:40, is it not?
It is. No, I can't read a calendar. That's my problem.
Let's see. So you're good. So we've chatted a lot about like past things. Like, I'm curious. I mean, this is kind of a fun question. Like, if you could go back and say something to the younger you, you can pick an age. I don't want to be too specific about which age we're talking about, but what advice would you give to that younger version of you? And what would you say to them?
It depends on what age. If it was already after I decided I wanted to make video games, then it would be to explore all aspects and don't lock myself into what I initially thought was what called to me. Like I said, I was originally like an environment artist and stuff, but I always was into the tech side of things. And I was always into like, there's one very specific thing that always comes to mind. I was in a character creation class, and the teacher took 10 extra minutes to just show us how to simulate cloth in Maya to make a tablecloth for a character to sit at, and I was blown away and spent hours making jello and everything.
Amazing.
And I should have never turned away from that, because that was the path. That was already calling to me 20 years ago, and it just, that would be what it was, is just follow your gut, follow what you found that you love. Don't lock yourself into the one aspect of it.
Why do you think you didn't follow it at the time?
I don't function very well without structure, and the structure that I had was pointing me into the environment artist, because there really wasn't a person to find to teach me VFX, or this was like 2011, so like it was still very kind of hard to find that information and that knowledge on how to do this and learn that. Like I messed with particles and stuff. I knew about them. I had the knowledge, but like I really should have just stuck with it, man. That I'll never forget. Like I learned to make that tablecloth and spent that whole rest of that class making all kinds of stuff, not paying any attention to what he was saying. And I showed him afterward, and he was like, "This is great," you know. And I should have just absolutely should have kept going. So tell my younger self, don't lock yourself in. Keep eyes on everything.
Well, I think that's an interesting one because I like it because it's not necessarily like a regret. It's just like if someone, anyone, had been there to
Yes.
say, hey, this path also has structure, you'll be all right. If you go down this, there is a pathway for you. That would have given the younger you permission,
That would have
I
been it.
think,
Yes.
to do it, right? But
Totally.
because no one was there, like intervening to say, no, no, this will work. You could do this. That's it. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, I kind of just I talked myself out of it. I still today remember the technique because like I've used it in modeling and environment art. I made bed sheets and stuff, all that. Just like
Yeah.
if you wanted it to look natural, you simulate it. It falls. You stop it. You say what stopped, and there you go. So like that's I should have really, like you said, if I would have had just one person to be like, do more, I would have done more.
Yeah.
So
It's interesting. Rachel, what are you gonna say to little Rachel?
I I would tell my 18-year-old self to go take care of my mental health. I think that's pretty much it. Without getting too real, I was not in a good place when I was first learning game development. And it wasn't until I both prioritized all of my resources I had to go get mental health support and care and was successfully treating my mental health that my career kind of like went from this to this. If I could like write out a roadmap, like the moment that I feel that my career really finally took off and was showing me a result of my hard work was when I was right with my mental health. So if I could go face
Oh
oh
no.
no.
Rachel froze.
Rachel's answer is my answer now too.
I know, that was such a good answer.
Yeah, 100%. It's all about you got to make sure you're in a good headspace, or you're just gonna keep going down that spiral.
Well, I think also, again, it runs into the same thing as yours though, because
Had I been in the headspace to have the confidence to keep moving forward, I probably would have.
it's kind of like what's the pathway towards mental health for any one of us? You know, everyone needs, I think, a slightly different remedy. Oh, Rachel's gone. She'll be back.
Uh-oh.
I'm sure she's her new computer that she got is having issues. But no, I think every one of us has our own journey to walk to figure out our mental health. I think that it's ever evolving. For me, if I were to talk a little bit to my younger self, it's fascinating looking back on the journey. I'm 41 years old now, and it's fascinating looking back on the journey of like all the different things I tried out
Mm.
and how each one sort of evolved into the next thing that I was trying out and the next thing and the new perspective. Like I've shifted dramatically throughout my life about my core interests. Okay, we see her in the chat. She's trying to get back in. She lost internet. I hope she can get back in now that it's live. I don't know if it's possible. We'll see. We'll find out. We're finding out a lot of
yeah, we're
things today
finding out
about
a
what's
lot of
possible.
things. Yep. Oh, there she is.
Hey, it works. She's back.
You're
Okay,
muted.
now we can't hear you. Wait. Hang on.
Every time.
Your mic is
every
muted.
time.
Nope.
Nope.
I love the comment that was earlier. This is game dev.
How about now?
Welcome.
Yeah.
Yes,
Hey, we
now
hear you.
works.
Yes, this is
Now
game
works.
dev.
Okay.
Uh,
What did you guys hear from my answer? Because I finished, and then you guys wrote it, so I was like,
You were so close to the finish. I
Yeah.
think it was like you were talking about the importance of mental health and like
yeah,
just how important that is, and it changed everything for you. It changed your trajectory.
it did. Yeah. So if I were to go back and face my 18-year-old self, I would just tell her, like, prioritize your mental health, and everything else will come.
yes.
So this is mine kind of dovetails into what you're talking about. I was just talking about how throughout my life, like I've tried on so many different approaches. I was obsessed with mental health from around the time of the World of Warcraft incident, about 21 years old, that we mentioned back at, well, taking us way back to the beginning of the live stream. So I became obsessed. I started seeing therapists plural. Some were incredible, some were horrible. I won't go into how horrible, like I had some bad luck with some therapists. I'll say that. Not all therapists are created equal.
Agree.
If you've had a bad experience with a therapist,
Try again.
take the time you need,
Yeah.
because that can be traumatizing in its own right. They can do
Yeah.
some serious damage
They can.
if you're, and I don't mean to scare you away from therapy because there are good ones out there, but like my favorite therapist, I actually have a really good friend. His name is Dan. Shout out to Dan. He's a therapist and he's like my free therapist on the phone. And he's actually the best therapist. He's better than any therapist I've ever paid. And Dan takes my calls for free. So I lucked out with that guy. We met before he was a therapist. So it works.
It's a damn thing.
I swear I didn't befriend him just to get free therapy. No, but I was saying, like, I've tried on so many different things, right? So going back to the question of what would I say to my younger self, I don't, it's so hard because it's like, he was trying so hard.
Yeah.
He was giving it everything. He was laying it on the line. He just, man, he's still having a tough time today, but he was really having a tough time then too. And I think like the message, I have this practice where like, it's a personal practice of mine. I kind of just came up with it myself because I grew up religious. I'm not religious anymore, but like I grew up with the practice of prayer, right? Back then I thought I was praying to some dude. And what I've transformed that into for me, for my practice, is that I was and am praying to my future self. So it's kind of a brain flip, but it's basically talking to myself.
I like
So
that.
it's literally, you ask like, what would you say to yourself? And it's literally like something that I do all the time. So today I reach back to old me to give him comfort and guidance and strength, which he did receive when he was praying to me before, if that makes sense.
Yes.
It's really weird. We're way off the topic of effects. I know this is just me.
It's
I'm not
important.
trying to start, like I'm not trying to preach or anything, but it's just what's working for me. And again, I'm evolving all the time. I'm always figuring out how I want to get through this life because it's a crazy life. And so I do that, and I talk to him all the time. And I think in my best moments, when it's actually working, when it's actually going well, I tell him, you're doing great. You don't need to change anything. I love you just the way you are. You're fine just the way you are. Keep going. You got this. Which is all I ever wanted to hear. It's all I ever want to hear now. Is I just want to know that I'm enough. I just want to know I've got it. And
You're enough.
Exactly. And we all need to hear that from ourselves.
You're enough, Dan.
You're enough.
I love
Both of
this.
you.
This is great. live stream. We're so great. I feel like it's simple, and I forget it all the time. And we probably all do. And I, religion aside, spirituality aside, whatever it is that you practice, it's fine. I think it's fine. I think just remember, you need to know that you're enough. You need to know that it's the most important person to hear that from is yourself. There was one practice I heard, like giving yourself a high five in the mirror. I love that practice. Like literally, like put it up, you're the best. And you can't help but smile and feel great. And it's cheesy and silly, but like, it's literally like retraining your brain to convince yourself that you're enough, that you can do it, that you got this, and you're fine the way you are,
Yeah.
which gives you the courage to change and grow and improve. That's through all the different iterations of Jason that I've been through throughout my whole life, because I've been obsessed with mental health. I've been obsessed with becoming better and doing better and being more and all these things. The one kind of continuous theme is that I've desperately been seeking self-esteem. Wherever else I was doing, I just wanted to believe in myself at the core of it, and I think that's kind of just been a running challenge for me, a running theme for me. Yeah. So anyway, we're going deep. This is so weird, like talking with all you people out there in the world, and it's going to be on YouTube forever, but whatever.
So important though, because
It
if
is.
you don't have that foundation of health, then what can you accomplish? And you can accomplish so much more when you have that foundation of mental health.
Yep.
And support. I heard from someone a long time ago, just to add on to it, believing in yourself. I had a friend that I went to school with in game dev. She's no longer in game dev, but she would always say, I believe in the you that believes in you.
Yeah. Believe in the you that believes in me.
Yeah. Like, hey, maybe
Yep.
it's not today. Maybe you don't believe in yourself today. But you will. Or else you wouldn't even be trying.
That's what, exactly. I mean, it's funny that we came to the exact same conclusion, because that's like the guy I'm talking to is the future me.
Yeah.
The guy who's already been through it and knows it's going to be okay, because he's already been through it.
That
You know?
kind of, the way you just said that, really giving, like I gave the GDC presentation, and then I gave the presentation again. I knew that I was going to be okay and had basically no fear, because I had already done it in a very much more strange environment that I wasn't used to, I wasn't comfortable in or anything, versus I'm sitting here at my work computer and able to just skip through the slides and show this off to people that I know. So like,
Yeah.
I was still nervous, but at the same time, I was like, I've already done this. Like, and if I was able to get through it that time, it's so much easier to get through it this time. So
Yeah.
that applies to life in general. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So.
It sure does. I love it. So good stuff. Really good stuff.
Great chat.
For anyone who stayed till the end, I think they got a nice treat.
They did.
So, okay, let's see here. We've got a couple more minutes. If you had 1 minute to speak to every single game developer in the world, that's a lot of people. Game devs, not just artists, but all the game developers everywhere. What would you say? You've got a microphone, you've got all their attention for 1 minute. What are you going to say to them?
Me? Who first? Rachel?
I'll go
You go
first.
first.
I wrote something down.
All right.
Stand in solidarity with your fellow developers. Fight for your worth. Champion fair compensation and healthy labor practices. Because we can make great games and support our health, safety, and quality of life.
Ooh, I like that. That's better than mine. You go first, Dan.
It's probably better than mine.
You go
too.
second,
It's
Dan.
definitely better than mine. Mine
It's a
is
tough one to
just
follow.
if this is your passion, if this is what you want to do, don't give up. You're gonna have a lot of ups and downs. It's gonna be hard. It may seem easy at first, but I promise the hard will come. You'll get the easy first, and then the hard will come, and then you still have to go through all of it. So there's lots of ups and downs. Don't give up. It will always be worth it when you finally get there, and you will get there. Just don't give up. That's the hardest thing. And I'm not saying, if you go to a different job, like if you leave the industry but you're still working on your portfolio or something, that's not giving up. You're not leaving. You're just taking time away to get things settled right for yourself. And no matter what, if you still have that dream, that passion, that want to do this, then just even baby steps turn into, the avalanche started with the little pebble. You know what I'm saying? Like, Just keep going.
Yeah.
You will absolutely get there. That's
Okay,
all.
so mine was going to be, I love it. No, I love both of yours. They're both so great. Mine was going to be don't break the build.
Yeah, don't break the build. You gotta wait a whole day.
For all that is good in this world, stop breaking the build. And don't read the Reddit comments.
Never,
Yeah.
never read the Reddit comments.
Don't read the. Although they're pretty good. I think actually it's the mark of a really seasoned developer if you can read the Reddit comments on something you worked on and laugh with them.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that's healthy to not take ourselves so seriously, to recognize like players gonna play. That's what they do. They're, we love them. We are them. It's okay. I think like I would just say, same thing I would say to myself. I think you're doing great. I think we didn't sign up for this because it's lucrative necessarily. I mean, sometimes we get decent company equity, but that's rare. We did it because we're probably a little crazy and a little obsessed. And I think
Yeah.
I just want to say thanks to all the developers and all the wonderful things that you've made. Any developer out there who's watching this, thank you, thank you, thank you for putting yourself into the work and giving me such joy and such enjoyment. I don't think we thank developers enough, which is evidenced by a lot of the comments that developers make sometimes online.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I think they're just not feeling appreciated, and I get it. Like it's hard when you just get hate and pushback, and I think it's important for everyone to know that we're making great stuff, and maybe it's not perfect, maybe we don't always do it perfectly. Maybe there's things out of our control that made it less awesome. But at the core, like I'm just so grateful for all the cool games out there. Keep it
Yeah,
up.
Same.
it's all because of all of the other devs that we do this. Like we are all doing this because of each other.
Yeah.
So keep going.
And don't break the build.
Yeah, don't break the
Stop breaking the
build.
Roll Tide.
Oh man. All right. Well, I think that's a good place to end. I don't know.
Thanks
Kinda right
for
on time.
everyone who tuned in.
Yeah.
Really appreciate your time.
If we didn't get your questions, please hit us up and ask. Sorry, we're only human. We do what we can.
Yeah.
But I guess we'll be back. We'll be back, right? Someday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This was fun. I enjoyed
This
it.
was fun.
All right, everybody. We can sign off. I think Julian has the power to end the stream. You want to go ahead and we'll just wave goodbye.
Bye everybody. Thanks for coming.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.